Welcome to the October edition of Steam Next Fest, where you can check out a new batch of demos from hundreds of upcoming games on Steam. Test them out for free and check out other features of the fest, like the official live stream,
Time to put on the gamer pants. Let's go.
developer chats,
Oh my god!
and more. Explore the latest from veteran devs and first-timers alike. This is Steam Next Fest.
Welcome to Steam Next Fest, a multi-day celebration of upcoming games. Explore and play hundreds of game demos, watch developer live streams, and chat with teams about their games in progress coming soon to Steam. My name is Jay Hobbs, and I'm joined by Sumi Chu. We're going to be kind of giving you a little glimpse at some of the games we have during Steam Next Fest.
Yep, we are going to go over a lot of different genres today and a ton of games and trailers. And just remember, everything that you see here today has a demo available right now. Steam Next Fest is going on now until October 7th, so you have plenty of days to try out all the demos here and the hundreds more that are available through the Steam client on the Next Fest page. J Hobbs, there's a ton of stuff coming up, but we've got the sneak peek. We've seen it all. So tease a little bit about what the viewers can expect right now.
Yeah, we're going to look at a bunch of different games today, several trailers, a few demos where some of our lovely panelists that we'll be having on had the chance to actually play the games and give us their first impressions. And as I just mentioned, we'll be joined by other folks for a bunch of different genres of video games to give us their thoughts about these trailers. We're going to have a little bit of a speedrunning bias to this as well, I think, which I just think is super fun. And why don't we just go ahead and get started with it? We're going to go over to our first genre, the action games.
We have a ton of games coming up, but we also have two extra special guests with us today to talk about the action genre. We have Spike Vegeta and Stella Chung. Good morning.
Production, very nice.
Yeah, for the first segment, heck yeah.
Yes, the first segment of the day. You guys are on the chopping block first. Tell us a little bit about your experience with action games, Spike.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm a big fan of, obviously, like, platformers and everything, but I love really, really well-done combat in games. I love when there's a lot of different tools at your disposal, how you can kind of mix and match them, just having to analyze your spatial awareness of, like, other enemies or objects around the screen. And I feel like a lot of the games that we're going to be highlighting in this group basically all nail that. So these were super fun to play through, and I'm excited to talk about them.
And Stella, what is your journey with action games or just gaming in general, if you want to tell us?
Oh my God. Okay, I don't think we have enough time for that. But
Well, when I was 4, I played Duck Hunt. No, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I'm kind of IGN's resident FPS specialist or expert that they've coined me. I didn't give myself that term because honestly, look, it's weird. Anyways, so that's kind of my experience. I cover a lot of FPS games at IGN, namely Apex Legends and stuff. But yeah, action games have always kind of been my jam. I've always gravitated more towards them. I feel like it's just engaged my brain a little bit more and maybe, slightly violent tendencies. Because let's be real, like it lets us live out our fantasies, doesn't it? Like it just, you get to be like John Wick. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to do that?
Just a little bit cathartic.
Yeah, right? Yeah, especially with some of these games that we're presenting, I am very excited to talk about them because if you guys want to talk about living out your fantasies, oh my God, there are so many. And I'm going to be playing all of them. So yeah, sorry, not to like promote that, but yeah, that's just, having seen all the trailers and having played the demos for some of these, I'm so excited.
Nice.
Well, why don't we get into it? We've got a bunch of trailers and some demos to look at today. And the first one is a game called Critadel from Pixeline Studio. It's going to be releasing October 13th, but the demo is available right now. So let's take a look.
Critadel is a futuristic platform, shooter, and roguelike coming soon to Steam, but you can try out the demo right now and also give it a wish list if you're interested in it, because those kinds of things are really important to developers and publishers, to see, the interest in the game. So definitely give it a wish list if you're interested. But everybody, that was I think that the thing that stood out to me the most outside of the gameplay was the music. Like, I was just jamming out. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty consistent theme that you will see. I kind of rushed through, looked at trailers for a lot of the games today, and you'll find pretty consistently, man, games just know we can't come out without bangers. We got to hook people right away. And big shout outs to the trailer we just got to watch for Critadel, that like it knew the energy of like the little locking into place, going to the music and everything. I was like, oh, this game is like just is oozing with style. Very, very fun looking.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, Sel, what were your first impressions?
Sorry, not to talk over you, but no. I'm very excited. So looking at the details for this game, there's a 360 aiming cursor that lets you hit enemies in any direction, which I highly appreciate because, I mean, let's be real, like being able to shoot diagonally is kind of awesome. I don't like being restricted to like 90-degree angles. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Also, the fact that the dodge roll ability gives you limited invincibility for avoiding attacks. I love that. I love that style. As a Dark Souls fanatic, that makes me super happy. And yeah, I absolutely love the character designs too, by the way. Like all of them, I fully expect to see some cosplays because they're super cute.
Yeah, there's some super good looking sprite work in this game. Go for it, Jeff.
Yeah, I am glad that you get to see multiple characters here and you get to kind of play as different characters. I think it's good when these kind of action games mix it up and give you that level of choice. But I got to point out something that I'm not sure everybody will have caught, but I went and freeze framed this trailer earlier. Go back and check it out in the Steam client because there is a gerbil cannon or something similar to that.
No way.
One of those characters is holding like a gerbil or some other little creature and uses it to launch like bombs at the enemies. And I saw that and I was just like, okay, all right. I'm not classically the biggest fan of anime type stuff, but when it's in a video game like this, you can just go super wild with it. And I love to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of variety in the game. There's 3 playable characters and they all have unique weapons, items, and abilities, but there's also over 100,000 unique weapon configurations. So there's like, there's something for everyone in there. For the non-anime people like J-Hobbs, there's something in there for you. And I guess that something is the gerbil cannon. So
it's a gerbil cannon.
The ultimate counterplay to anime, the gerbils. All right, I love it.
It's something, but it's the kind of thing you could only get from a game like that. Where it's just. They're willing to go wild with it, and I think it's really fun. It's good when action games don't take themselves too seriously. Obviously, it's fun at times when they do, but I think it's way more fun when they're willing to just go wild, go hilarious with it.
And I love Stella bringing up the fact that you do have 360 degrees of how you can aim and like take care of different enemies, because playing through the demo of this, they will throw hordes and hordes of enemies at you inside of different rooms. And that's the sort of thing where you feel like it's overwhelming at first, but I like games that as you put, dozens, hundreds, even thousands of hours into, you can see yourself looking through the matrix all of a sudden and being able to like dodge and always know the best play in any situation. There are, like Sumi said, hundreds of thousands of different weapon combinations. You realize early on, if you just want to go with the little pew-pew shooter, you can be successful. You will be fine. But the fact that there are so many ways to launch gerbils at your opponents, that's sick. This game's very fun. People need to check out the trailer. Lots of fun.
You're really stuck on the gerbil thing. And having been, I actually got bit by a gerbil once. Those things are ferocious. So
the gerbil gun's
perfectly
not for you.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Or it is because you know the lethality of it.
No.
All right. Well, as much as we all seem to enjoy Critadel, it is not the only game we're going to be looking at here in the action genre today. And this next one, I think, has been on a few people's wish list for a long time. I know it's been on mine. Let's take a look at TUNIC.
get hyped for Tunic, which will be coming out sometime soon. And one of the things that I really want to shout out is that the game itself features sound design by none other than GDQ's friends at Power Up Audio, as well as an original soundtrack by Lifeform. So you just know that your ears will be pleased when you play the game. Stella, tell me what your thoughts on Tunic were.
Yeah, actually, I was going to bring up the Power Up Audio as well, because I think they were featured in Celeste, Darkest Dungeons, and Subnautica Below Zero, so you know that you're in for a very big audio treat. Honestly, I love cute things, as you can tell by like the million plushies I have in the background, and that's not even like all that I have. I am very excited for this game because when I first saw it, I was like, no way. This looks like a dream sequence. Everything looks so soft and gorgeous. The entire art direction looks beautiful, not to mention the music that you hear. And honestly, my first thought was, this is going to be a perfect Steam Deck game. And I'm just so excited to like curl up next to like, you know, all my plushies playing this game. It just looks super cute. I'm not usually the kind of person who likes calm things like this, because again, I have violent tendencies. But seeing this, I'm just like, you know what? I could totally just relax, drink some tea, play this game, you know, be this cute little fox that I want to protect. I would do anything for this fox, honestly. I would die for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is not only a treat for the ears, it's definitely a treat for the eyes as well. I think the voxel kind of art style is really adorable. And the isometric view that they have in this game is, you know, one that a lot of games have done before. But when we saw in the trailer some of those kind of dynamic camera swings that were happening even in the middle of combat, that was really new to me. I thought that was super cool. You're not locked into this one view. It's going to adjust. I don't know if the player was doing that or the game was doing it automatically, but it's going to adjust to help you out in these boss fights or other, you know, challenging combat encounters. And I actually got to talk with Kevin from Power Up Audio a little bit about some of his work on these games. And he said he was already loving kind of the speedrun elements that were coming out of Tunic. So for those of us who are so inclined to go down that route of gaming, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. The routing on the overworld, the movement itself, because you actually go really far with those dodge rolls. But this game does have a stamina meter to it that you have to kind of understand how to work with at all times, because you can easily burn that out. But as we've seen from one of our friends who did a little 2-minute speed run of the demo, you can get around that in some ways. But no, very, very cool stuff here. Very, very fun game, just fun, explorative. And I would say a little more emphasis on combat than you generally see in games like this. Like, there's definitely going to be your puzzles, exploring the world, getting loot, finding your items. But I think the way they throw hordes of enemies at you in this almost gives you a little bit of a Dark Souls vibe in a way. Different like little fires and whatnot that you go back to, and having to re-pick up your loot afterwards.
Yeah, the controls to me, Spike, you actually played the demo. You said, Stella, I don't remember if you got a chance to play this one or not, but let me know what you all thought of how tight the controls felt, because to me, just watching it, they looked like they were really solid, you know, fundamentals to work from. Like they were really tight controls. But I haven't played it since a demo at PAX like 5 years ago or something, so I don't quite remember.
Yeah, I felt really solid just moving around with it, because that's something that you can easily mess up with. I think especially in the cornering, the dodge roll itself gives you a lot of very satisfying distance without feeling like overpowered or anything. You do want to route out your stamina. And the way you can roll around corners felt very, very solid to me. Other than that, again, you've got to lock on to all of your different targets, again, with tons of enemies on screen that can help you out with, you know, closing those distances, your gap closers. But yeah, I thought it was super fun to control, and it was just one of those, within about 30 seconds, I said, oh, I need the full thing. I want to see exactly where the story's going to go. You also got to see in the trailer, I wonder if we're going to get to see more of it, our main protagonist, like climbing up the structure to get up to that, you know, supposed boss fight at the end. I said, are we going to have some climbing aspects to the game, potentially? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how that story plays out, especially with like that darkness that was looming over the end of the trailer. The description for Tunic itself says to explore a land filled with lost legends, ancient powers, and ferocious monsters. So it'll be interesting to see how the ancient powers come into play here. And the keyword that I think I pulled from Tunic's description the most is the word secret. It said unearth secret relics and secret techniques, uncover more secrets. So there's a lot of stuff to come in the game. So if you're interested, definitely give it a wish list in the Steam client and watch it unfold itself as it comes soon on Steam.
Yeah. Download the demo today as well.
Yes.
Oh, I have to mention one more thing about it that I just thought was super, super cool playing through it. So I'm old. I grew up in the 80s, 90s for video games and everything with like Nintendo Power and everything. And there is a point in a dungeon that you go to just here in this trailer where you get the map. You're like, okay, it's a standard. You open up the map and the art style inside of that map all of a sudden harkens back to your classic Zelda games and everything, stuff that you would see in Nintendo Power of the different artwork, how everything's laid out. If you want some nostalgia, this hits all the right buttons right there. Be sure to check it out.
Nice.
Cool.
Cool. Well, that was Tunic, but we have some special gameplay for you to see as well. We have a game called Soda Crisis, and none other than our very own Stella did a playthrough of the game. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that footage, and she'll give us some commentary about her thoughts while she was playing through the game.
Yeah, what were your first impressions here, Stella? Because this game I thought was super cool.
Yeah, so it's super fun as someone who's not always super great at side scrollers. It was pretty good at like easing you into the gameplay aspect of it. It kind of like teaches you as you go along, but you can also do it before you know how to do the skills. The soundtrack is so good. Like, I just wanted to keep replaying levels because it was just amazing. Like, I just wanted to hear the music play in my ears. The story is really interesting though. So you find out a little bit more as you go on, but you find out that you're this experiment who's been doing tricks and a lot of training just for like a sip of soda. So you're given so you're given a cola after successfully doing an experiment. And the reason why you go on this rampage is, I couldn't believe this. The reason why you go on this rampage is because you didn't get a soda on time because they were out.
Wait, this is actually my type of game right here. I'm about to take a sip.
You get angry that you weren't given your special treat.
This is amazing.
So you decide to go on a murderous rampage.
Tell me a little bit about the movement of the game. It looks very smooth. Is that a slide? Did you just slide?
Yes, so there is a slide mechanic, which is very cool. You're given a little bit of invulnerability when you slide, so you can actually slide through enemies. So when I was playing through this, I was like, oh my god, speedrunners are gonna love this because you can honestly just skip entire levels, except for the levels where you do have to kill enough enemies in order to open doors. So,
but even those, like one of them that we're seeing right now, right? I thought these looked very interesting to kind of route out how you're going to do that. At first, I thought maybe they were like a low ammo usage challenge when I saw that meter at the top, and I realized, oh no, it's how many enemies you killed. But then I was like, wait, why? You could just do both. Like try to find your way through it of exactly how few shots you can take to clear those kinds of challenges. I think just lots of ways to find new fun with the game.
Yeah, I will say that the at least in the demo, when the difficulty ramps up, it ramps up. Like, you're not ready for it, and you're just like, well, how many of my abilities do I actually still have? And you actually have all of your abilities. So it's stuff like that you need to keep in mind. I think it's a very fun game. I think it's very well made. I feel like speedrunners are really gonna like this. I do feel like I got a little frustrated at certain points, but that's okay because you do have checkpoints. And I really love the fact that you can change your loadouts at different checkpoints whenever you want. You can change your build. So it gives you different options for play styles, which is very cool. For me, I'm very run and gun. I like to charge at things head on. I know some people might be a little bit more cautious, so they might play long range. But being able to do that was super cool. And there's this cute DJ vendor that you can buy abilities and guns from. It's really cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, a lot of it seems to be like the DJ thing. I'm just like, okay, Listen, this seems to be very audio-based. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I know we've harped on like sound and audio a lot already today, but the sound design I thought was really great in this. Like when you were hitting that tank. Wait, hold on. Was that a grappling hook?
There's a grappling hook.
What?
I was like, how's she gonna make this game?
Yes.
Screw whatever I was talking about.
This game's sick. This game's sick, dude.
I was about to get into that. So any game that has a grapple hook immediately has my attention. And in the first level of the demo, it says, press, I forget, I think it was Y to use grapple hook. I was like, excuse me? I was immediately caught.
Well, pull my arm, why don't you? Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So the grapple hook paired with the slide ability is just really cool to experiment with different movement, especially for gaining speed in levels. And the wall run is really nice. You don't have to like dash between walls to keep running. You literally just stick to the wall and run up. So very different, and I really liked that a lot because it just focuses on the movement and your survivability aspect as opposed to being like, oh, do these fancy wall tricks to move up. So I really like that. It definitely focuses on combat.
I liked that the little like kick or dodge or slide move that you're using occasionally, it looked like it stalled you in the air as well, which I can only imagine with how difficult some of the later levels in this demo looked. To me, I can only imagine how that could be useful to just stall yourself just an extra little moment in the air to let something sweep underneath you, or, you know, or just to get that last couple of shots that you needed to take down an enemy. I think that those kinds of small control things always jump out to me in trailers.
Yes, and especially with this game, because you don't have much health. Honestly, you will die in like 2 hits. So survivability, like, it's really hard. So when I say the difficulty ramps up, I mean it ramps up. So you really need to be creative in how you avoid bullets and how you avoid, like, that guy will kill you in 1 hit. So you really need it. It's like critical thinking, right? Like, which enemies do I fight? Which enemies do I run past? Which ones can I like here, I think I had to, I played distance because I was like, if these guys are gonna kill me, I'm right at the end. So it's stuff like that. You gotta get creative with how you decide to tackle things.
The level design looks super, super cool.
Yeah, I love that you can shoot the stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
that was just really fun. That was super fun.
I want more 2D games in this kind of 3D art style. You know, it feels rare to see this kind of thing these days outside of maybe like a AAA title, like a Rayman Legends or a Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or something, you know. But I think that it looks really great that way. The game feels super unique. The way that they did the lighting kind of, to me, gave the game this weird, almost post-apocalyptic feel, but also with so much futuristic, you know, modern-looking set pieces and things around the area. It's like a weird, you don't generally see those two things together. You see one or the other. And I thought that was just really interesting, and it made me want to play it more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for those of you who are interested in Soda Crisis, it is announced that the release date is TBA, but if you would like to check out the fast-paced side-scrolling shooter game for yourself, you can check out the demo and the trailer on the Steam client. Go ahead and look up Soda Crisis. It should also be linked through the Next Fest page as well. So while you're browsing through the action genre, you'll definitely see it in there. So give it a wish list and give it a try. We have another trailer coming up as well for a game that it has a special place in my heart because it has some stealth elements, kind of like Metal Gear. But you're not Solid Snake. You're actually just a vacuum. Let's check out Justice Sucks.
I'm looking up inside a world I don't recognize. Playing it cool, but I can't get you off my mind. Just suck it up, I gotta do what I can to get back to you, back to all that we had. Galaxies far and wide, I'd go anywhere. It's gonna be alright, ain't nobody holding me back. You know I'm
Justice Sucks Recharged is the follow-up title from Roombo First Blood. I just said both those names in one sentence. That was great. From developer and publisher Samurai Punk. The release date is currently yet to be announced, but you can go download the demo today in the Steam client. And I mean, this one, what a great like pace changer too. I think from the last one, we get this really intense, difficult, side-scrolling combat, and then we get, oh, let's just have some fun as a little vacuum cleaner. I think that's great.
I want to point out that the trailer music was basically a play off of Britney Spears' "Oops, I Did It Again." Did anyone notice that?
Yeah, I was like, it gave me big vibes. Yeah.
I had like boy band, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC kind of vibes, but same thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, yeah. Same era.
Yeah. Exactly.
This was definitely the trailer that, like, because, okay, we've done a couple of these now. Like, okay, start going through the trailers. Oh, this looks really good. Like, taking notes. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to focus in when I play the game? And then, like, this was one, I got like 30 seconds into it. And I was like, wait. What? Am I a Roomba? What am I doing in this game? What is happening? Oh, Justice Sucks. This game looks hilarious. I love that, just like the little satisfaction of like after you have all these different like weapons, like it's basically Home Alone 5 right here. All of a sudden you're Macaulay Culkin. If he was a Roomba, you're gonna figure out how to interact with all your different environments, take out all these dudes. It's really cool. And then like at the end of it, the satisfaction of being like, well, we made a mess. We got to clean up all this blood and just start going around, taking up whatever you got to do. This game looks hilarious.
Yeah. I kind of want to jump on that word you said there, satisfaction, because I saw Roombo First Blood before, and that's kind of almost like a little I know every time we say the name, it's great. That's almost like a little like prototype version of this, the fully fleshed out game, right? And it seems to occupy this unique space of being simultaneously a puzzle game, a real-time action game, and in like the coveted group of what I'm going to call satisfying simulators, like Power Wash Simulator or something.
Yes, exactly.
Where you just feel good, like cleaning things up and getting everything all tidy and nice back in order. I don't know if any other game merges all of those genres in the same way.
Yeah. So I want to point out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, after you, Solve. Go ahead.
I was just going to point out that cleaning up the blood actually serves a purpose, by the way. The more blood that you suck up from the enemies, the more powers you get. So not only are you cleaning, but you are cleaning for a specific reason, to be a super-powered Roomba. And by the way, I want to point out that this Roomba is not just a normal killer. First of all, his name's Dusty, so put some respect on that name. Dusty, he gains sentience after fighting burglars in a break-in, and he was thrown into a TV realm. So now he's fighting to get all these powers so that he can come back and save his family, by the way. So it's kind of like Hotline Miami meets Roomba. Also, in the end of one of the trailers, you can have a fuzzy cat that rides on your Roomba and like fights with you. It's amazing.
Of course.
So I'm just excited.
You can. That's great.
I'm just a fan of Metal Gear Vacuum. That's basically like when I was taking notes, I just wrote Metal Gear Vacuum in all caps. Like you can hide under furniture, like you can use your atmosphere to fight your enemies. Like you can suck up items and spit them out at your enemies. And like in the trailer, there's just like some dude punching another person, and I'm just like, well, I don't know how we got there, but I guess we're going for face punches as well. And there's also like, my favorite thing was that there is actually a cat. Like the cat will ride the Roomba and then like attack the enemies. And I was sold after that,
Have a little buddy. But no, that is cool. That like the premise when you go in is I'm a Roomba. Like, what am I going to do for combat here? And like, again, all the environments look really fun. It's probably another one of those games. I love when games do this. You think to yourself, I see this like thing over here. Can I do something with that thing to interact with my enemies? Oh, I can. Oh, that's sick. And having a lot of those aha moments, super, super fun.
Yeah, another small detail from the trailer, you can all go back and watch it again and pause and freeze frame. You actually acquire a gun from one of the enemies because you like cause them to drop it, you suck it up, and then you can use it to shoot the other ones, which is just Oh, that's just great. Well,
A Roomba with a Glock. Nice.
Yep.
as much as we would love to keep talking about Justice Sucks Recharged and Tunic and all the other action games that we've gotten to see so far, it is time to move on. So I wanted to say thank you to Stella Chung from IGN and Spike Vegeta from the internet for joining us to talk about action games. Real quick, if anybody wants to find you all later, to find some of your other content, where can they find you? Stella, let's start with you.
Well, you can find me on IGN. I am actually doing the Halo Infinite multiplayer review, so that'll be the next project that I am on.
Nice.
But also, if you want to follow my personal stuff, I am on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, where I stream almost every day, at Parallax Stella. So that is my username across all social media.
And you can find me over on the internet. My father, the internet, gave birth to me and everything. It's great. And I stream almost every day over at twitch.tv/SpikeVegeta, where we do a lot of casual playthroughs, speed runs, challenge runs, whatever sounds fun for that day. Check it out.
Cool. Well, thank you so much to both of you for all of your help with the action genre. Thank you again, Stella, for a fantastic gameplay reveal for us. And let's get back into it. As we go into our next genre, we have a platformer.
All right, Sumi, this is like the one for speedrunners. I feel like here platformers are such a common speedrunning game. I know I have great memories of tons of different platformers. I'm excited, maybe most of all, to start tackling this genre here. What are your kind of thoughts on just platforming games in general?
I feel like platformer can also fall under action. I feel like action is such a broad genre, and platformer is kind of like a subgenre of that. But it's a lot of fun, Like if I think of speedruns, and if you tell me speedrunning, I think of platformers. Just like you said earlier, we have a huge speedrun bias, but at the same time, everyone has to put that respect on platformer games. There's 2D platformers, there's 3D platformers. There's just a ton of different ways for you to be able to enjoy, jumping from land A to land B. They just make it really fun. It's just addicting. So, there's a lot of cool stuff that we should be expecting from this, Hobbs.
Yeah, and I think we'll hear more great, words about platformers from our next two panelists. But before we introduce them, let's explore the mysteries of an unknown land with Transiruby from Skipmore Esquadra, Inc.
We'll hear many more words. Transiruby will be coming out in autumn. That is right now because we've just started autumn. Autumn 2021. Soon. Yes, sometime soon. Autumn 2021. You are free to play the demo. It is available now as well as wishlisted on Steam if you're interested. But J-Hobbs, what is that I see? I think I see two panel members joining us for this genre.
Are they below us, above us, to the side of us? I don't think we know.
I don't know, but let's introduce them right now. We have the fantastic Argic as well as the amazing, the Blacktastic, also known as Bobby. Gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Platformer.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm really excited to talk about these next couple of games.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
So first thoughts on Transiruby, everybody. Yeah. First thoughts on Transiruby, because to me, it looked like a cute little 2D pixel platformer. And I saw that motorcycle in there. It was like, okay. Those are some of the things that just jumped out at me right away. Argic, you look ready to jump in about it. Let's start with you.
It's pixel art. I am a sucker for pixel art. If you put pixel art in a game, I'm probably going to see it, and I'm going to pray that it's a good game because I want to love it. But yeah, just like the game is so colorful, it's bright. The pixel art is just very sharp and beautiful. And as you say, there's looks like many different ways to move around in that game. You can transform into a jet plane of some kind, which looks like a lot of fun. And like I get it looks very similar to Crosscode. I don't know if anybody's played Crosscode before. Like it's in RPG kind of, but this looks like the platforming version of Crosscode, and I'm just like, ooh, I want to play, please.
Nice.
Bobby.
Well, it is also
sorry,
Transiruby is a Metroidvania. So, Bobby is himself as a Metroidvania expert. Tell us what your thoughts on Transiruby.
I was just about to mention that the Steam page for this, which has a demo available right now, explains this game as a Metroidvania game. Now, Metroidvanias has a lot to do with exploration and a little bit to do with combat as well, but also the sort of progression through items and through weapons that you can like attain. I was really elated to see that vehicle that you can definitely pilot. Like I really am about the movement, and Argic and I are a couple of speed runners, so it's like any little bit for movement is extremely appreciated when trying to go through this quickly. But do you even want to? Because like the environments, like very very small pixels for the for the characters. I do love the portraits, but like take a look at that environment where just everything just kind of like fits in like pieces of a puzzle,
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of secrets to discover in this game as well. Like in the description on Steam, it says slash and shoot your way to reveal its hidden secrets. And that's kind of a staple of Metroidvanias as well, I think. It's weird because those two aren't inherently connected, but I swear every Metroidvania just has to have secrets in it for you to explore and find as well. So I think that's really cool. And hopefully you can find like just new ways to discover things or new ways to move about areas as you're like backtracking through other parts of the world and whatnot.
I'm pretty excited to see some puzzles. They advertised some adventure and puzzle solving, so I'm interested to see how puzzles play out in this game as well.
Any other thoughts on Transiruby before we move on to another game, because we have awesome, like just lots of platformers to talk about.
Just to comment on like the presentation of the trailer, like I love direct feed gameplay in trailers, like just not only showing like not only just like showing zoomed in sequences and all that stuff, but like actual like gameplay of UI elements. Like the elements look extremely crisp, really cute, and like very unobstructive from various like important gameplay elements, especially when you're in the thick of it. So it really gives a really nice presentation for what people are able to expect when they play Transiruby.
And there's more there as well. Like you've got the characters too. We saw the main character, or what we assume is the main character, but there was two others as well. Are those NPCs or are those other playable characters? We'll have to play and find out.
All right, well,
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, let's keep things in the 2D art style, but very different this time with a nice little hand-drawn style. The game Itorah that releases this year, 2021, from Grimbart Tales, lets you discover the world of Nahuken, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, in this 2.5D action platformer. Let's take a look.
Itorah will be coming out this year, heralded by Screen Rant saying Nintendo Game Boy inspired Itorah is a hand-painted beauty. And hand-painted beauty it is because, I mean, did you see those graphics? Did you see how beautiful that was?
It's incredible.
It's amazing. I love it. I'm just really excited to see, you know, it just looks like a very atmospheric game. Like I just feel like when I sit there, like it will pull me in and I'll feel like I'm really there. Bobby, how do you feel?
I feel like getting lost in the environment. I know that there's like combat to it, but I really want to dive into this like new strange world. You know, I was looking at the Steam page. Apparently, the axe talks. How does the axe talk? The axe is supposed to, you know, like guide you and like why is this person here? Apparently, you're the last human on you know, in this world, and you're trying to delve and find some secrets. Like, but you were asking me how I felt about, you know, how I felt about it. And it's like I cannot, I just can't wait to dive into this.
It sounds like really scary, you know, because like you mentioned, you might possibly be the last person remaining on Earth. And apparently you are trying to save the world from a mysterious plague. So a plague might have wiped out all of your friends and family. And I guess you're trying to find out and you know, stop that from happening. Argik, what are your thoughts?
Going back to when you were mentioning like hand painted there, like, you can see in the characters just the way they look gorgeous. Like, and the animation for it just looks so smooth. Like you saw the two characters fighting like sword versus axe, and it's just the movements and that looked great. And then the spider had to appear and ruin everything because it's like, we have animated every little eye on these legs. I'm going, yep, thanks, needed that. That's great. And I'm just like, do you know what? I have a talking axe now. It's like, we're going Flint the Time Detective here, and I'm going to whack you with it. Like, there you go. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope the character and the axe have like a really funny dynamic, like cool witty lines and that going back, because that would be good fun, you know? Like serious, that has a bit of humor in it.
Right. I'm glad. Sorry, Bobby, real quick. I'm glad somebody else called out the animations too, because like that was one thing I wrote down. It almost has this feel of it's an animator's game, if that makes sense. Like that was the number one thing that stood out to me, that somebody was putting an immense amount of care into every single animation in the game, to where it doesn't just feel like a video game animation. It feels like something that would also fit well in a show, you know, if that character needed to do something in like a TV show or something. And that's usually not always the case. I think it was the standout feature for me were all those animations. Bobby, go ahead.
I actually exactly wanted to piggyback on what you were just saying, because you see a lot of it from a lot of the retro, like modern retro titles. I'm going to put Castlevania Symphony of the Night in perspective, where you see like walking frames, backdash frames, like every little bit of, you know, keyframe animation is just, you know, just makes it extremely fluid. And we've seen that with pixels, but like very seldom do we see that in a, you know, hand painted you know, environment with all these fluid animations. It really makes it feel like it's nigh a cinematic experience. Like right. It's definitely, you know, fluid enough to be a video game, and it's definitely going to control maybe as fluidly and precise as it looks. But it's definitely more than that. It's definitely more of an artistic perspective to it. I'm so glad they're able to, you know, pour their, you know, soul into this project. Really excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also very interested in the Mesoamerican inspiration, because that's like a region in South America, and you know, South America has a very rich culture and a very diverse culture as well. So I'm just very interested in seeing how that shows through the game. You can see a couple of elements in there, but I'm just really excited to see some representation as well.
Yeah, same. I think that's super cool. Always, you get to hear more new stories, fresh stories that way as well. Well, Grimbar Tales will be bringing Itorah to us sometime in 2021. But for now, we need to move on to another little gameplay demo that we have for the game Lumione from Glimmer Studio. We're going to roll the footage here. And which one of you two lovely gentlemen were actually the one to record this footage for us? Me! Argik. All right.
Yeah, I did it. So I apologize in advance for any falling down. But
give us your thoughts.
Honestly, first time I saw this, I immediately got Ori and the Blind Forest
Ori?
vibes.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes.
As an
Straight
Ori
to
speedrunner, I was like, everybody's going to immediately call out Ori in this. And I actually got big Celeste inspirations too, with a lot of the way that the mechanics seem to work. And we'll see more of that as it goes on. But the art style and the aesthetic overall with the music and everything too, you're right. The same kind of vibes.
I was gonna say that this sort of like segment was really Celeste, like when you see the words pop up, like it's very like encouraging, like let's try this. You don't have to do it on the first try, and as you can see,
yeah, omnidirectional dashing. Tell me more about the omnidirectional dashing, Argic, because I mean, they call it fly in the game, and it does seem more like that. But I love seeing that in a platformer.
Keep an eye out coming up here, because it is definitely more of a fly than a dash. Although short right now, you can see I'm actually turning while I'm doing the dash as well. And something really important that took me a little bit of a second to figure out is you want to be facing upwards when your dash runs out or your flight runs out, because you get a little bit of a hop at the end of it there. And that is super important not to run into spikes like that. But like you can see it in
the fast retries though. Super fast.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's very simple in the controls at the start here. You have your jump, you have your dash. That's about it. We skipped part of the level there because I found out and it was like, I have to speed run it. And I was like, there you go. But it's real good. It's literally just you have jump, you have fly, and you can stick to walls. And the good thing about this, and I personally love this, you mentioning Celeste. Celeste has stamina. Right now, this doesn't. You can hang on the wall and plan your next move. Now, the downside is if you hang on a wall and you've already used your fly, you're not getting your fly back unless you grab those bubbles. But you can just see it's like it allows you to give you time to think where you want to go next and try and get through there. That's where I learned that I needed to hold up around the corner there. Otherwise, you just hit those spikes. But here they add even more mechanics to it now. We've got bouncy lasers. You've got lasers that you dash through. You've got one-way walls. And they kind of ramp it up here. And this is a whole don't touch the ground. Like this is floor is lava style right now. But of course, I've got to go for the little orb there because why not? And then
yeah, I like seeing those one-way walls because I could see platforming challenges getting really complex in later stages of this game with just some of the basic tools they've shown us here. And we will see a little bit of that here in the demo, but of course they don't want to spoil everything in the demo, right? They got to save a lot of it for the main game.
Tell me how it was like learning how to use the movement in this game. Do you feel like it was easy to grasp or was there a little bit of a learning curve?
It was fairly easy. If you played any platformers before, then it's going to feel very intuitive for you. You're going to understand. It's like, okay, this is what my limits are, what I can do. Like I can grab onto certain objects, I can hang onto my walls, and then you very quickly begin to learn like what your jump distances are, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. And honestly, it eases you into it with the starting levels in the demo here as well. Like they're very generous with it. It's like, okay, here, take your time. Then we're going to ramp you up. And like you can see here, you've got certain things that you're activating and these little spirit flames that are turning the evil pink lasers into yellow lasers that you can traverse through. And they just slowly but surely add more features for you and then they put it together. And then as you can see, it shows you like, okay, here's what you've got to come up next, plan your move and see how it goes. But it's very nice. They're very intuitive.
That was where I was really starting to feel like, okay, a couple, like a nod to Celeste here. Just the binoculars, the way to search through the whole stage and plan your route out. I think that's cool. Bobby, what's jumping out at you about Lumione here?
So, like, I'm sure playing this is a different story, but like watching this again, like I'm getting a lot of like the Ori vibes, but also getting a lot of if you remember Guacamelee from 2013, where there are a lot of like the longer segments and stages, just kind of like throw everything that you've like learned in that segment so far, you know, at you, and you know, it provides for a really nice, playthrough segment if you're playing extremely well. And the environment is so great. I love the small effects of like, you know, like the water making these background visuals like undulate, just kind of like, you know, waving back and forth. Like it
Super
just seems
agree.
It just seems extremely like pleasant. Like I feel like it's presented in like any other way. it might be a little bit daunting to folks, but like, you know, factoring in like the sort of like, you know, the support that the game gives you, like, you know, you're not alone. You know, there's a lot of challenges, but don't worry, you got this. Like, this is going to be an extremely inviting platformer for people to get into.
It definitely looks like a relaxing thing. Like it's a game that, you know, if I'm playing like some MMO or like some MOBA and I'm getting really frustrated, I think Lumione would be a game that I turn on to like relax, you know? Like the music, I'm just zenned out. I'm peaceful. I'm exploring the deep sea and maybe possibly not being bad at a video game for once. But Arctic, if you were to, say you're like, you give us like your 30-second elevator pitch for Lumione. Like, tell us what your favorite part of the game is and why people should try it out for themselves.
You'd think it's the gameplay, but honestly, the music, as you brought out there, it is very chill. It is just a good way to relax and enjoy it. And a really important feature, it doesn't reset when you die. So you just get the constant track going through. And it's amazing. And it's so fun. And it's a game you can speed your way through, have fun with it, or you can take your time and enjoy the levels and the environments. I know when I was playing it through, it started for 30 minutes. It got down to about 15. It went down to about 8. And I'm like, okay, I like this.
Awesome.
Well, Lumione from Glimmer Studio again is actually going to be releasing on October 13th. So that's just 12 days from now. Please be sure to check that one out. And if you want to get the demo to see whether you feel like picking it up or not, picking up the full game, then you can go ahead and do that right now in your Steam client. We're going to take a look at another trailer here, this time for the game called Afterthought.
Afterthought will be coming out on the 30th of November of this year. So November 30th, 2021. You can check out the demo right now or give the game a wish list on Steam if you're interested. Now, Hobbs, you've been emoting the entire time that trailer was playing. So how about you give us your afterthoughts on Afterthought?
I'll give you my upfront thoughts. No, honestly, this is how you design a trailer. Like, whoever was in charge of cutting this trailer together, they did a fantastic job, because we barely got anything about story from the trailer, but exactly what we got was enough to leave me wanting so much more about it. And this game had me from the very first input. Like, the way they launched into some immediate momentum conservation, which is exactly what I personally love in a 2D platformer. Obviously, you know, the big speedrunner in me loves that kind of thing, but even casually, I think that kind of thing is just super fun. And like the way that they made the beat drop from the first song out as they do that immediate dash and you just go launching, I was like, okay, hold up. I need to sit up in my chair and pay more attention to this, because I thought it was just a blast. Bobby, what were your thoughts? Because you were also ranting and raving about it a little bit during that.
My first thought is, boy, this is going to be fast. I actually love them showing like the variants of abilities to like begin with, just so that you can like look for the certain cues of like which ability that they use to tackle that certain situation. And I think that's going to be you know, extremely prevalent. Also, I think they're way open to improving on the powers as well. If I read correctly, this is an early access title. So this is so if you're eager to dive in, and you want to like, provide your feedback on different powers or even like, future levels or anything like that, then, the developers are open up to doing so. So I think this is going to be a very, very great like speedrun title because you know, like how the community really deeply wants to work with devs there. And yeah, it's just fast.
Yeah, you mentioned the like mechanics first approach to this in this trailer, like the introduction we get to the game via its game mechanics and not its, you obviously get the story and the aesthetic as well, but that is like right up front and personal. It's right there. Here's your dash. Here's the wave, the wind, and all that. There's a lot of emphasis put on that. And Argic, as somebody who loves 2D platformers and going fast with usually a blue blur. How did this one? There you go. Yeah. How did this one feel for you with seeing all those mechanics and everything?
I got one word for this: schmovement. Schmovement. It's like, yep, smooth movement. It looks fast. It looks fun, and I know I'm checking that out easily.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see, especially the speedrun community pick up the game because the game itself is advertised as a 2D speedrun platformer, and it's also advertised as a game with easy to learn movement but hard to master. So I'm interested in seeing what those movements are and how speedrunners, take it to the next level through the multiple levels that they have. They also have boss fights too. I'm interested in seeing the boss fights as well.
Yeah, what is that going to be like? And it's easy for a game to kind of advertise itself as speedrun friendly or as, speedrun focused. And it's hard for a game to actually kind of hit that, like achieve that result that they're looking for with it. And from what I've seen, the little bit that I have seen of this one, it seems to do that with ease. I thought it was really cool. They actually called this out in the description on Steam that you can experiment with different play styles. They clearly have a lot of different paths, a lot of different ways you can traverse through these rooms, through the levels, which is just really great. It means that you get to kind of express yourself through the game. Always a fun thing when platformers can work that into the level design.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see how the gameplay changes as you go through the game itself and, learn what style works for you. But yes, so that is Afterthought. It will be coming out on the 30th of November of this year. That's really soon. And if you want to play it sooner than that, the demo is available right now. So go ahead, go to the Steam client, check out the platformer genre, and check out Afterthought. But unfortunately for us, that is the end of our platformer genre. Gentlemen, Argic and Blacktastic, thank you so much for being here and for showing us some amazing gameplay. Did you have anything that you wanted to say to your fans and the people who are watching? Talk about where they can find you after the stream is over. How about you start first, Bobby?
Oh, well, yeah, my name is The Blacktastic, but you can also just call me Bobby. I do a lot of Monday through Friday retro and indie game streams. Mostly for entertainment, sometimes for charity, Monday through Friday on my channel, twitch.tv/TheBlacktastic. I also have a multitude of social media platforms that you could find at the same handle.
Cool.
Awesome.
And Argic?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/Argic, as J-Hob alludes to. I'm a Sonic speedrunner. I love my blue blur. I do 2D and 3D games. Currently learning Sonic Colors Ultimate, as it is the latest and greatest Sonic game to come out. But I also do indie games, because indie games are great fun. And of course, a bit of retro as well, because nothing beats a bit of nostalgia. Again, twitch.tv/Argic, and you can find me on a number of social medias at the same handle as well.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to be jumping into our next genre now, which is going to be the ever lovely, the ever story-focused RPGs. All right,
Welcome
Sumi.
back, everybody. Haven't seen you all in a while.
We're still here. You thought you were done with us. No, but we got through platformers. That was probably like my most anticipated genre. I know you are a big fan of RPGs, though, as well. Like we got to talk about that a lot last time. How are you feeling going into this one?
I am always really excited to see RPGs come out in Next Fest because I feel like Next Fest is a place for me to really broaden my horizons. Like, obviously, as an RPG fan, I'm a big fan of like the JRPGs, like, the Final Fantasies I'm a big fan of. But Steam just allows me to find games by indie developers that maybe I wouldn't have seen otherwise. And, you know, especially doing Next Fest, I feel, and also helping curate the games for Next Fest as well, I feel like my wish list just like grows to like 1 million games every Next Fest. And I'm just really excited to talk about RPGs. But we have our first trailer for the RPG segment. We have Young Souls. Let's take a look.
Some kids just don't fit in. They don't have goals. They don't have ambitions. They don't try much of anything. Kids like us. Sometimes, someone stupidly believes in kids like that. And when someone like that disappears, when they're taken from your life, you'll do everything, anything you can, to save them. It doesn't matter what stands in your way. Not monsters, not armies, not even each other. People who believe in you, who believe in us. We can't just give up on him. No matter how long it takes.
Young Souls comes out this quarter here at the end of 2021 from developer 1P2P. Should be very fun, gorgeous 2D brawler meets story-rich action RPG. And Sumi, you were pretty excited about this one, I think, when you were looking at it. I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yes, I'm super excited because first of all, I got some Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends vibes from the visuals. I'm very excited to see, and I really like this art style itself, and I'm really excited to play some. It looks like beat 'em up and RPG put together. But first, before I start getting into how much I'm interested in this game, I would also like to introduce our lovely RPG talent for this segment. We have Pleasantly Twisted and Bowie the Hero. Welcome to the RPG segment.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
Sorry, I'm very excited.
No worries. So before we get started, PT, how about you tell us a little bit about your experience playing games?
Experience playing games in general,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I love
all of it.
RPGs and I love story-driven games, and I am someone that I am all about the single-player experience, going in, immersing yourself in the story, really experiencing everything that the characters are going to be experiencing, but then also kind of building up with them. And that's something that the Young Souls trailer, I'm really interested to see how those RPG elements are going to come through, because we saw a lot of really quick snapshots of them, of different weapons, and then you have them doing crunches and little time trials and other things as they go out to go be little ragtag misfits, beating up stuff for, I think they're saving someone. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain. But yes, RPGs are a big love here, especially on my stream at the Wine Cellar.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
Bowie, as somebody who has like a long storied history with RPGs, what keeps bringing you back to this genre?
Oh, this is a hard one, you know, because everyone was always like, you know, RPG, story-driven thing. And I have to say that, you know, as much as I love the stories in RPGs, I'm a big fan of the gameplay. I don't know, there's something about, you know, the strategic element to that. And you know, both in turn-based and action, being able to either make decisions on the fly and kind of like show a bit more of kind of like an action-orientated decision-making versus, you know, that approach of, you know, taking your time, being able to plan out a series of moves and steps, or reacting to kind of what enemies are deciding to do and kind of counterplaying that.
Right.
You know, and then you add that into a strong story that kind of bolsters, you know, strong gameplay. It's just, you know, a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Personally. So.
Yeah, Young Souls seems to be a little bit more on that kind of action end of the spectrum there. What was jumping out for you in the trailer, or are you hoping to see more about the, you know, the in-between stuff, leveling up your characters and whatnot?
There was a couple of things. First off, it was mentioned obviously that it's kind of like a brawler like, and there was this element of it that kind of reminded me of like things like Streets of Rage and
Yes.
and Scott Pilgrim kind of stuff. We have this kind of like interplay between that the depth of the screen versus the width and kind of playing around that. And I think the thing what took my interest rather, excuse me, is that we have these two characters that obviously were working together, and I think when narrative and gameplay kind of starts mixing together, and you have it where they kind of like enhance each other, that's kind of where I'm most fascinated myself personally. So I'm kind of thinking, what ways can they make the gameplay for this kind of the brawler style section of it work in a way that really can tell a story about these two. Going on this journey to save I believe it's their mentor or teacher of some sort, and going on this journey together.
Their mysterious scientist father.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you. I wonder how they can tell that story through gameplay. Like, what do they learn and what do they accomplish and what do they overcome together in the combat or in the maybe the exploration and puzzle solving side of things to kind of really back up what they're trying to tell narratively as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for characterization in the gameplay, kind of like you're talking about as well, because they put that very strongly in the trailer here, just telling you like, these are kind of misfits or something, or the people who aren't, they're not being perfect in school necessarily, or they're not really learning as much as they should be, but they seem to find that person who kind of helps them do that, and then that person is taken from them. And I'm really interested to learn more about these characters and see how the gameplay enhances the characterization of each one of them and fits, because you could do some really fun things with that kind of character in the way, showing the way that they fight.
Yeah, for sure. I think animations are a big part of that. Yeah. I think that's one of the strengths of the visuals as well. They're not similar in so much as kind of how they actually look, but I think the potential of it kind of reminds me of something like Critadel that came out recently. Which obviously was this like this wonderful kind of like bold, like strong, like almost kind of like just like these strong colors and bold shapes that you can use to really kind of create wonderful animations and again characterization from that animation for sure.
Very Cartoon Network kind of fosters hope for imaginary friends, like you said.
That was a perfect descriptor.
It is. I didn't notice that until you said it. I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what that art style is.
Yes.
E.T., what were your thoughts? Did you have any final thoughts?
I'm really interested to see how the story is going to progress because, as has kind of been mentioned before, they have a really good narrative already going with the gameplay along with the storyline that we have presented thus far. And you can see that you're actually journeying with them day by day. And they make it very clear that this is not some adventure that's just ongoing and time is an illusion. You actually see each and every individual day passing. But I really, really want to know how this story is going to twist and turn and how it's going to transform with all the information that we see so far. Because we see that it's something like their father, their mentor, or specifically their mentor father, if that doesn't sound weird, it kind of sounds weird, and trying to figure out how to get him back. But what we don't have on deck right now is, but why did he go away? Did he leave? Was he taken? Was he kidnapped? Is this a journey to save someone, or is this just an ongoing search? So I'm really, really invested in seeing where this is going to go. But I'm also I'm here for how the gameplay looks, how it looks aesthetically, how it feels thus far, and it's going to be something that it may or may not have been sitting on my wish list for a while already.
I do think that they revealed just a little bit of the story in terms of their father, their mysterious scientist father. Basically, I think he opened a portal to another dimension that was filled with goblins, and I think he kind of got himself in some trouble. And it's up to you. It's up to the protagonists, who are twins, Jen and Tristan, to go into the other dimension and save him. And that's why they said in the trailer, they're like, we can't give up on him. It's because he kind of messed things up for himself, and it's up to, his kids to save the day.
I just hope that they don't get in there and find him and it's like, no, I planned on doing this. And it's like, oh no.
Oh man,
this is terrible.
Please. Well, we will see. If you want to enjoy Young Souls, you can play it solo or co-op with a friend. I'll be playing it alone because I have no friends. But you can check it out for yourself. Q4 2021. You can check out the demo available now, and you can wishlist the game on Steam if you're interested on following it when it comes out. But that is just our first game of the RPG segment. We have another trailer coming up for you. Let's take a look at a game coming out in 2022, Grid Force.
Grid Force is a story-driven real-time shoot-'em-up focused on recruiting and evolving dozens of unique and diverse characters. A lot of hand-drawn art in this one. Grid Force Mask of the Goddess has a demo available now, as do all the games that we're featuring today, and will be coming out sometime in 2022. So yeah, first impressions on this one. Twisted, what were you thinking looking at?
I want the plushie from the end.
Yes, right? That's what I wrote down too.
I want the plushie from the end.
The only note,
and it needs to have the butt.
And can you pet the weird alien creature? Because, you know, can you pet the dog as a big meat, but can you pet the weird alien creature? If you can't, I'm telling you right now, Playtra Games, get on it. Let's make it happen.
But on a much more serious tangent, I'm really, really interested in all the different things that are showing with it because it's called Grid Force. I forget the rest of the name because I'm a terrible person. Mask of the Goddess. Yeah. But you can see there that there's a lot of different cultures that are being represented in this too. Like it's not just one or two things. It's like I was immediately interested because it's like, oh, the main character's brown because obvious. But then I saw that there's also larger characters and there's characters that like they have Asian representation and then they actually have things pulling from their cultures too. And I was like, oh, this is going in. Okay, I see you. But also I need the plushie. That's not a joke. I require it.
If the devs are listening, then plushie away.
Devs, plushies, make it happen.
Bowie, what were you thinking? Look at this one.
Mega Man Battle Network, right?
Yeah.
Yep. What can you say? I was playing the demo throughout the week, and I think I want to kind of again elaborate as well on what PT said. You know. I believe it to be an all-female cast from what we've seen in the demo as well, which is lovely to see. You were saying, you know, a wide variety of cultures and aesthetics, but not just that, but also mechanical aesthetics and archetypes kind of brought into the game as well. And it's interesting seeing kind of like different characters and different, I guess cultures take different roles within the battle system as well. Because obviously you've got that whole idea of, you know, you've got your DPS style players, and you've got more defenders who kind of play a more supportive role, and then you've got those who get really, really aggressive. And I think that's really nice to see, you know, the characters, how they're designed in aesthetically, how they play in game, but then also how they are narratively as well, because you know, we got to see a few like cutscenes, you know, because I think the demo takes place after the first like initial kind of like story beats, and you kind of go to the next area and you kind of meet a few characters and see a few relationships. And then, you know, you've got some of the wisecrackers, some who just aren't going to take any more crap kind of people, and it's really nice to kind of see those people play in story and then in battle as well. So yeah, it was just kind of fun. Hectic though. If you play Battle Network, oh man, it's tense.
And I think tactical strategy games are something that I think we need so much more of right now, because it doesn't feel like there's a lot that stand out so far. And I think that means that there is a lot of room for innovation in that kind of space. And I'm curious to see, you know, what kind of new mechanics they pull and what new things they bring to this genre. I'm always a sucker for hand-drawn art. I think it's really great. And as you were talking about, as you both were bringing up with so many different backgrounds, and they showed some of the art seemed to be from kind of this like manga style of being drawn.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's all going to be like that, or if they're going to be merging different styles of like hand-drawn art, and how are they going to do that in the game? If so, I'm not sure, but assuming you were ecstatic when I said that.
Yes, I'm super excited because to see like that manga style, and it's something that they've advertised as well, that their narrative is in the form of a manga. I just feel like it's just like different, you know. I've seen it happen in games like Infamous, which is kind of like a slightly older game, but just to see like a comic style like the story is told through like comic style, and for me, I feel like that's just really. It's like nostalgic to me because it just reminds me of like the days where I'm just sitting around reading comics and stuff. I haven't been able to do that in a long time. So to be able to get that in an RPG game, like I get my Battle Network, I get my comic books, like come on, man. What else can this game really give me? Oh wait, it can also give me game-changing decisions where if I make a decision, I could permanently affect what happens in my game, which is something that I'm personally like a real big fan of. Like oh man, don't make me choose, but yes, make me choose.
And we'll be talking about that more in another one of the games later too. Sorry, I cut off. I think Bowie, you were about to say something.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to jump off from that as well because this is a big part of RPGs. I think for a lot of people out there. I mean, not everyone loves these things, but being able to affect elements of the narrative is a kind of a nice thing. We all remember reading those like choose your own adventure books. Go to page 12. Those kind of things, and it's like. It's always nice to kind of have that impact on a narrative that your choices do matter, and not just narratively, but also I was talking earlier about how characters have these archetypes you can kind of work towards. But leveling systems, it's one of those ones where you don't just get experience and level up, and you gain stats, the number are higher, yay! But rather you gain elemental powers for the 6 elements, which I should add are a different kind of like alignment there in terms of what beat what. It's kind of a bit of a rejig in your mind. Dark beats water. Who'd have thought? But yeah, you get elemental powers, and you can kind of like level up individual elements, and those elements affect a stat. And then you can gain like new skills by leveling certain stats a certain amount together, and they give you new skills. So it's kind of you can create builds. And I think that freedom is a big thing about this in particular that I think people are going to like, that you can create your team and choose elements and choose roles and stuff like that. So.
And I was going to add to that too. The really nice thing about those types of gameplays and narratives is that it gives you a lot of replayability as a result.
Yeah.
Because you made your decisions the first time and it got you in this one spot. But now, what if I choose this thing? What's going to happen? And the nice thing about being in a video game, as opposed to the apt example you made of the choose your own adventure books, you don't get caught in a perpetual cycle, because sometimes that's happened where you'll choose your own adventure and all of a sudden it's like, wait, I've been to this same room 14 times. What is happening? Am I just stuck in this book now? But now you have kind of like that really intricate branching path narrative, and you can kind of get to different endings, different ideas, different kind of scopes. You can get into different character narratives. You can kind of get into different relationships, or I might be adding more than what the developer is thinking about. But I think that that's something that they're working towards. It just really feels like it's a good placement for that.
And you also can't cheat and keep your thumb on the previous page and just be like, do I want to do that? No, go back.
Please stop attacking me.
Stop attacking me.
Wow. All right, well, we would love to keep talking about it, but we do need to move on because we got a couple more RPGs we want to talk about. And this time we're going to look at a gameplay demo of one of the RPGs that is going to be coming on October 21st. That is named Evertried. I mixed it up with a classic retro hardware thing.
Speedrunner.
Yeah.
Speedrunner alert.
Evertried from TUNIC Games. Again, October 21st, this one comes out. And this one was... I thought this was just like really... who was this? Was this Bowie who played this one?
Yeah, this is me. I apologize for any errors I make.
Why are you apologizing?
Because I've seen this video.
I thought this was cool though, because I love whenever a game can have such a simple concept, or be inherently simple, but create ridiculous difficulty and complexity from that simplicity. It seems like a really weird thing, like a hard thing to do that seems to be pulled off in this game. I don't know. You were the one who played this video. Why don't you let us know, Bowie?
So obviously, as you can see, it's an isometric, like turn-based kind of roguelike dungeon crawler style thing in loads of different ways. I think the thing that most draw me to this is that I play a lot of strategy RPG, so the grid nature of things is always really fun. But I took a hit there because I was just trying to play around. I swear. But it's kind of it's obviously randomly generated floors, you know, and all these kind of things. You can move either one step, or you can move 2 steps with a dash. And essentially, what this is all about is about learning enemy behavior, about how you kind of strategically move around, and kind of what you learn about every single enemy each time. Good job, me dying, and then kind of getting better from there. One thing about it is that this game is completely controlled pace-wise by you as the player, because it's turn-based. You make an action, the enemies make an action, and then if there's a trap, the trap will do something. But you know, showing here that there's all these upgrades that you can get. Every 5 floors, you'll come across a shop, and the currency for that is based on that top right gauge. So you've got a silver gauge below that builds up as you take actions and attack enemies and kill them. And then when you get to the top, it will kind of go up from level 3 to level 4. And this is basically a multiplier for your currency. So essentially, you get rewarded for playing faster and playing better. So it's one of those things that, yes, we all get better by playing games more and more, and we learn more about these kinds of games when we do that, but it's a game that kind of feeds back into itself. You start off, you're quite slow, you don't get much currency, so you don't get many upgrades, but you're learning. And then the next time you know what an enemy does, so you can attack them faster and deal with it faster, you get more currency, you can buy more upgrades. So it kind of, it's a direct feeding into itself in terms of how you're learning, how you're, you know, playing, and then therefore how you're rewarded for it. You know, for being better. And this fire zone is really tricky because there's things like it's essentially some enemies will move every 2 turns, some will move every turn with you. You've got those dashing guys who will dash across the entire screen, but if they see you on a line, they'll go straight after you. But if there's a hole in the way, they'll come up after you and fall down. So you can deal with enemies in more than one way. You don't have to just attack them. You can use the environment to your advantage, because obviously you all have different things, like those little cracked the tiles fall down, and there's sometimes lava rivers that go with you that you need to try and be aware of. There's those traps of fire breath going along the edges. You have to kind of take so much into account. I'm in trouble there.
It looks pretty difficult, and I don't want to cut you off too much, but I do want to go back to what you were saying about the way the multiplier system works and how it, as you're kind of waiting to decide your action, it looks like it's ticking down. I think that's a really clever way to put a sense of urgency on the player if they want to play into that style and try to be efficient and be quick with their decisions without seeming like it would play enough of a part where if that's not your jam, you have to play by it, right? Like you could take your time with it, and yeah, maybe you wouldn't have as many upgrades at the next or as much currency to purchase upgrades at the next shop, but that just poses a different challenge, right? You'll be working with fewer tools. I think that is a brilliant system, honestly, to encourage both different styles of gameplay without punishing the other one.
Yeah, and what's really great is you do have these kind of, this is like the boss encounter, which is, I'm so glad I managed to actually beat it on when I was kind of taking the footage, because I beat the demo twice and then got owned for like an hour trying to record footage. So it was kind of nice to get it done. I think one thing I want to talk about though, because this is a bit of a weird thing, and that's the atmosphere of this game. Some of you may have no idea the game I'm about to mention, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, is Equinox, which was an old SNES kind of like isometric action game. And this game is nothing like it, but the thing that I do feel with it is that it's got that kind of atmosphere to it, where the music kind of plays in this really kind of ethereal, kind of misty way, that when you're kind of going through these floors, I just remember it just reminds me of Equinox and going through the dungeons, but I kind of liked that. It was kind of one of the reasons I was kind of, I'm really enjoying playing this, because I get to choose my pace. I like how it feels to be in this zone and how much trepidation there is.
Well, I know you can keep talking about it all day, but we do have to hear from other people as well. Sorry. I mean, come on, we got other panels.
See, I was completely content with you talking because I am like completely jacked in on this demo. Like, I know you keep saying sorry for the bad demo, but I think this is an excellent showcase because you get a chance to see all the movement, you get a chance to see how things play, you get a chance to understand how different kind of hazards can help you but also harm you, and you can look at so many different things all at once. And this is something that I'm thinking about where you can look at it from the speedrunning perspective, but it also allows you to be really casual. Like if it's a day where you just want to kill some hours, relax, hang out for a little bit, you can just throw on some Evertried and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do some floors right quick and just kind of chill. And then you can make it into your speedrunning game where it's like if all those floors are gonna be the same, what's the most efficient way and how fast can I do it? So no, I was A+ with just listening, because like you could even go back to the video and watch, and it's like, yeah, we're losing Twisted. She's gone. She's gone. Like just completely sucked into it.
Sumi, I was gonna say, what was jumping out of you about Evertried here?
I was just trying to learn how the movement worked, because it seemed like, you know, in the recording, it seemed like Bowie just kind of had like a firm grasp of like how the movement, how the enemies move. But for me, I'm just like, wait, they're gonna move there. Oh no, wait, he's surrounded. What is he gonna do? Oh no, wait, he dashed through them. He's safe. And just kind of figuring that out. Like, I'm a very hands-on person. I learn by like playing instead of watching. So for me, I'm just like, I was like, focus. Learn how they move, learn how because not only were there enemies, there was also terrain and the traps as well. So I'm just like, oh, right, well, that terrain is bubbling in purple. It looks kind of like you're going to get poisoned if you step on it.
Yeah.
I guess that's how that works.
Yeah, I was just quickly kind of clarify. So like the dash is like a thing where you can just go two extra space, but you can go through anything. It just, as long as you can reach the second tile, you can go there. So it's kind of really cool that you can do that. So if you're in a corner,
that is so cool.
Yeah, you can kind of get out, which is lovely. But what it actually kind of does as well is it kind of makes every floor into like a puzzle game. Think of it like, you know, where rather than it being like a strategy game, it's more like a puzzle game where all the pieces are on the board in a particular way. You know how they all move and how they all work, and then what are you going to do to to clear them all out without getting hit? And I think that's really, really cool. It's kind of like chess. If every single piece on your opponent's board moved at once, like, okay, crap. So which is kind of cool.
Last thought on Evertried, because we do have to move on, but how tense were you feeling, Bowie, during some of those rooms? Because I felt like I could feel the tension in your hesitations at times, going like, how do I resolve this? I don't want to be too slow, but how do I, what's going to happen here? How tense were you feeling on some of the later floors?
So yeah, you can see like obviously when you slow down, you can see it, and it's very, very obvious where it's like those charging ones can put you into a bad situation, because a lot of it is like queue up for the next turn. You have to kind of think a turn ahead. And it's like, it's great because when those stores give you all these power-ups like passives to like, you can tank one hit and not take any damage, or try and restore some damage, or have these skills to kind of like push enemies away from you, or just deal some damage from afar. But all those passive upgrades and like skill upgrades you can get from the stores don't help you when an enemy has your number. And I think because it's one of those moments you'll move and you go, yeah, because he can see me and he can see me, I'm dead. And it's just like, you don't want to be in that situation where you're kind of checkmated. So yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Let's move on to our next game, though. Evertried. Again, if you want to check it out, you can play the demo today in the Steam client, and it actually releases October 21st, so near the end of this month. Should be a fun time. But we're going to see another trailer here in the RPG genre. This one from publisher Tiny Build and developer Laughing Machines. It's called Undungeon.
Don't like dungeons? Who needs them? Because you can play Undungeon, which will be available in Q4 2021. J-Hobbs, you said you had a little something to say about Undungeon. What were your thoughts?
I never thought we'd get a game that would strike the perfect balance between Hyperlight Drifter, definitely some clear, influence there, And General Grievous from Star Wars, because I'm telling you, like that's what I got watching this trailer. That's the vibe I got. But you know, here it is. That's this game. No, I don't know. I didn't get the chance to play it yet. Only seen this trailer, but I thought the character just looked really cool. It's very different from your usual protagonist, and they very much point out that you have kind of control over which path your character takes. And we talked about that earlier on with one of the other games. And I think one of the things we didn't really hit on back then is that when you have those either morality choices or just different endings or different paths in general you can take, it makes the game have such a high replay value to me.
Yeah.
And that is really cool because RPGs, I think they usually have replay value, but for the one story you played that you liked, you know, and it's not always about being able to get a fresh new story from the exact same game. And I think that's a really cool opportunity with this one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of decision making, but there's the one thing that really piqued my interest specifically for Undungeon is that it said open world. And there aren't, like, when I think of open world, I think of, like, you know, the new AAA 3D titles that have like the big wide open world, you know, or like something like Breath of the Wild or whatever. But then like you see a game like Undungeon with these with the pixel art, and then it has the open world. And I feel like I don't really see that all that often, and I'm really excited to see how that works together, and you know what it'll really look like.
Definitely.
I'm
Twisted.
I was saying, I'm just feeling like all of my thunder got stolen because I've been saying Hyperlight Drifter, but you're dead. And so General Grievous sounds way cooler and way more PG than just being like, so you're dead, but you're playing Hyperlight Drifter. But definitely, like, I agree with Sumi on the aspect of there's not a lot of them that you see anymore that are going to be coming from indie companies with these pixel graphics or hand-drawn graphics or anything like that that says it's open world. Because even in the case of games like Hyperlight Drifter, it was open world kind of. You had your places you could go to, but you went to those places and you learned very quickly, oh, I have no business being here. I should leave immediately, if not sooner. This looks like it's going to have much more opportunity to let you just kind of explore freely, and it makes me very curious about how it's going to implement itself in the gameplay, because with all these story narratives that we've talked about, all the games today have had great story narratives, BT dubs. With that being kind of one of the big draws to it, does that mean that there's going to be segments of the game that I can accidentally skip because I might have found something that I leveled up with that made me OP really early? Is there going to be things that if I get them, it just gives me more lore instead? It has a lot of opportunity to really explore how it wants to engage those RPG elements. So I've been watching this one for a while. I have a little bit of bias as a result, but I'm definitely really invested to see what Tinyville is going to do with this.
Yeah, and it says that your decisions help actually change the world around you too. So it's not just about your character's path. Bowie, did you have something you wanted to add on to that one?
Yeah, I was kind of wanted to kind of springboard off of what PT said as well. Insofar as it's a bit of like a lore dump kind of like beginning where there's loads of information because it's such an interesting world where it's like the idea of the multiverse, and there's like 7 versions of Earth have collided together and have created this kind of weird, not post-apocalyptic, but kind of just messed up version of Earth. And you, as the Herald, I believe the character can kind of do whatever they want and choose to do whatever they want.
Excuse me, please, General. That is the correct. No,
sorry. General Grievous. Sorry, sorry. We have to change it. Sorry, Devs, do you mind just rewriting the entire script? But yeah, you can just choose to do whatever you want in that regard. Where like you can just if there's an NPC talking to you, you can just be like, you know what, bye, and just continue. You just don't have to listen to them. You don't have to. You don't have to talk to them if you don't want to. And they give you loads of options of being like, do you want to answer this way or do you want to answer that way? And it kind of either completely shortens, story, or you don't get any lore, or you don't know what's going on. You just want to go out and wreak havoc. So yeah, there's that wonderful thing. So,
in that same vein, it kind of reminds me of the narrative style of things like Disco Elysium. Because looking at like the overlay of it and then thinking about it that way, it's like that actually is a really good descriptor for it. Because yeah, what if I don't want to talk to them? What if the shopkeeper has things to say? That's cool. Is he going to sell me my stuff?
Yeah.
And then just buy your stuff and go.
Yeah. There's this lovely option which is go on, and then you, as in, tell me more, or just tell me the stuff, please. Which
I'm here to purchase things because I have stuff to kill.
I like that a lot because that's something that I'm more like you, Bowie, where the story has never been the main attraction for me in RPGs. It's been really great when it is a good story, like when it is there to meld with the gameplay very well. But I'm way more on the gameplay side. And I find that actually on my first playthrough, I often don't want to get too bogged down by that kind of thing. Like, for example, Dark Souls, one of the things I love about the way they present their story is you can care about the lore of Dark Souls as little or as much as you want. There's some other, things about it, but I think that's cool that they do the same kind of thing here, where it's like you can engage as much as you want on that first playthrough, or you can just keep moving if you're having fun playing the game, right? And you can always come back and on a second playthrough hear all of those options, or a third playthrough where you choose the other morality choices, hear all those options too. I love when a game gives you choices into how much you want to interact with the story.
Choices are a big thing in that game as well, I noticed. Because I played a little bit to kind of get a feel for it, and it kind of reminded me, kind of like those, when I mean dungeon crawler, I mean, when I say dungeon crawler this time, I mean more in that kind of like looting style, where there's loads of enemies you can defeat, and they'll drop loads of items that you can craft to create so much. If you're a fan of like min-maxing your stats and creating builds, there's like menu upon menu of just like adjusting your cores, like all your equipment, all your body parts, because you can make like brains and hearts and stuff that, you can just make pieces of your body that kind of are better versions, like a better heart, and it's like that all feeds into the stats. So it's like a min-maxer's dream to kind of go through every single number.
It's me. I'm the min-maxer. I don't read the lore. I'm just like, but how can I make this better?
Yeah, nice.
Constantly.
Yeah, I feel that. You have me there, Peter.
Oh my gosh. That you just reminded me that Dark Souls has lore, but I'm still reading it. I'm still reading it
without it, right? And you can do the same, and you can get invested later if you want, or you can not. And it's so cool when a game like Undungeon here gives you that option. It's rare, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it allows you to enter it in your own free time. So if you want to just play the game now, go for it, knock yourself out. And then if you want to do the late night lore binge on YouTube for the next 4 hours, you're free to do that too.
Well, there are different ways to enjoy Undungeon, but you can also enjoy it now because the demo is available on Steam. The full game will be available in Q4 of this year. And unfortunately for us, that brings us to the end of RPG. And we have to say goodbye to our lovely panelists, Bowie and PT. Thank you so much for being here today. Before we let you go, PT, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you after the stream's over?
Sure thing. You can find me literally everywhere as Pleasantly Twisted. This is your reminder. Don't spell Twisted with vowels, because if you find that page, I don't know her. That's not me. Twisted has no vowels, but it is Pleasantly Twisted, all one word. If you come over to my channel, we're lovingly called The Wine Cellar. We do challenge runs, speed runs, but we mostly play a lot of try-hard games like Metroidvanias and roguelites, and a really heavy heaping dose of RPGs, which is probably what led to me being on this panel today. So thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate you bringing me back.
And Bowie?
Hi, I'm Bowie, and you can find me again on the same kind of thing, twitch.tv/Bowie the Hero. Mostly do like RPG speedruns are a big thing. Things like Shadow Hearts and the Mana series, all those kind of things. Golden Sun and Shining Force, which is perhaps where my name comes from, if anyone got that reference. So yeah, exactly, amazing game, big fan. So I just play a bunch of kind of like old school RPGs, and I also do a fair few kind of playthroughs of new and upcoming games. Just recently played through Arise, very good game. Nice. If you like that kind of stuff, I do have my fair share of Metroidvania love as well. Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth was a good game that came out recently, so it's definitely those kinds of vibes, But yeah, that's me, and I like to act as well, because I've been acting for about 15 years now. So if you like acting and you like games, I'm about.
And not a half bad fighting game commentator, might I add.
Actually, I should mention that. Yeah, I do. Also a live event host
FGC
presenter
too.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I'm a Grand Blue player.
Interesting.
Grand Blue versus player.
Oh yeah, great game. Love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you to you both for joining us. And that ends our RPG segment. We are done with RPG genre. But everybody, we're not through yet. Put on those robes and wizard's hats because we're getting spooky up in here.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, to the spookiest time. And here, it is October 1st. It's the time of the season, the mood of the season, whatever it is. It's of the season. And I'd like to say that not all of these games we're going to be talking about here are spooky necessarily, but they definitely fit the vibe that is
it's
October.
Up to interpretation, Hobbs.
Yeah,
it's up to interpretation.
A lot of the games here are either spooky or they're just plain weird in the best ways. And that, if that's not, October and Halloween and all that kind of thing for you, if you can't be weird, then when can you be weird? So we're going to take a look at the first game here in the spooky/weird genre, and that is called Ordinary Human Game from developer behind WindowCat.
Ordinary Human Game is a part of the spooky genre because we don't know what's happening in this game. The rules of normal physics don't apply here, and that is terribly spooky. J. Hobbs, tell me a little bit about how you feel, and also about our cool guest coming in.
Yeah, I'm going to start with that part. We have two new panelists here. Ecdysis, who actually runs a horror-themed, spooky-themed show for the Games That Quick channel, and Spectralite, who I only just got to meet yesterday, but you seem fantastic. How are y'all doing, and what'd you think about Ordinary Human Game? Let's start with Ecdysis.
Hey, everybody.
Or Spectralite. Yeah, go ahead. No,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, everyone. I think Ordinary Human Game, it's, definitely spooky. I don't know about you guys lifting up the floorboards. It's, if physics don't work, that's pretty horrifying in my opinion. What about you, Ecdysis?
Feeling pretty good today. It's been nice. I've been up later than I usually am. I'm kind of always, the horror late night, but it's nice today. And yeah, Ordinary Human Game's pretty neat. When I was watching it beforehand as well, it reminds me a lot of, I guess, Alice in Wonderland kind of perspective changing and all that. So I kind of really dig the whole aesthetic because it fits into it can fit into horror, I think.
I think it's definitely weird. Go ahead, Sumi.
Sorry. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that we should turn this last segment here into a game show called Spooky or Weird, and we should vote on whether a game is spooky or whether it's weird. Either way, it belongs in this genre.
Very
Let's
weird.
start off with Ordinary Human. Ecdysis, do you think it is spooky or weird?
Weird.
Weird?
Yeah.
Very easily weird.
J. Hobbs?
I got to go with weird. The trailer broke my brain. When they pulled the wall back like it was a piece of paper, my mouth just kind of fell open and just remained slack-jawed like the rest of the trailer. I was so confused. But I'm going with more weird than spooky.
Spectralite, what were your thoughts?
Definitely weird. All I can think of is when the boxes fell through the floor. All I can think of was, am I going to fall through the floor next? And I don't know what awaits me below there. I guess I'll have to find out.
Yeah.
For me, definitely weird.
Yeah, definitely weird. And I love when games pull this kind of physics don't make sense kind of gameplay, because it's the kind of thing that it would be so much harder to do in any other medium, right? And
yeah.
Video games are where you can pull like non-Euclidean geometry out and make it somehow make sense in a game world. And you have to solve puzzles based on that. And I mean, we don't know. We didn't see any kind of like enemies or anything really in this one, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be any. Or maybe you as you mentioned, you fall through the floor at that one point. Like, does this game take a hard left turn and turn into this really big spooky horror game? I don't know, but I definitely got enough to be intrigued.
Exactly. As well, thinking about kind of like that whole idea where physics don't quite make sense. It kind of reminds me of like the really old school like Wile E. Coyote cartoons. And like they would like, oh, it's a painting. No, you can run through it. Not actually. And it's just really cool to have that in a game form. And I'm kind of hoping that we saw a few things with like the stairs, the plants, things are getting bigger, things are getting smaller. And I'm kind of wondering what else lies in there, because I imagine there's more objects to find.
For me, it really felt like the reason why I got spooked out by it, even though I think the game is weird, the reason why I got spooked out by it is because the empty house aspect of it. I know Jahab's mentioned it earlier where there's like no one in the house, but like it kind of reminded me of like that old spooky game Grandma, where you're trying to run around the house and Grandma's actually trying to kill you, but like you have to like interact with all the stuff in the house, and the house is outside of like Grandma and sometimes Grandpa, like the house is empty. So I got the spooky vibes like that, but it'll be very interesting to see, how the mind-bending puzzles come into play for ordinary human, and like how do you achieve victory? How is victory achieved in this game? We're not really sure yet, but we can play the demo and find out.
Yeah, the game does release in 2022, so you got a little bit of time to wait on that one. But like Sumi said, you can jump on that demo and also wishlist it while you're in the Steam client. For now, I guess let's just go ahead and move right on to our next one. I'm loving the game show idea. We're definitely doing that because this next one could go either way to me. We're going to take a look at Spiderheck.
Everybody knows that the most spooky thing about a horror game is the swearing. We're not allowed to swear here, so Spiderheck will be coming out soon. We don't know specifically when, but heck, sometime soon. And let's get started. J-Hubs, let's run through the gamut of the game show.
Okay.
Run us through it.
Yeah, all right. So then, you know what, Sumi, give us your verdict first. Spooky or weird?
Well, first of all, swearing is not allowed, so I would say that's a point for weird, but there's, for people that may have arachnophobia, this game could actually be pretty scary because there's a lot of spiders, so I'm going to say it's spooky.
They do move along in a little, like, creepy way. Ecdysis, how about you? And give us any thoughts you had about the game as well, spooky or weird?
So I'm definitely a bit biased because I don't totally hate spiders. I think more weird. I know some people do have the arachnophobia. Some are afraid of spiders. Terrified even. They can't even look at them. But I'll go with the weird. As well, it reminds me of like a few games, but mainly it's like it's a spider version of like Gang Beasts because it's all like it feels kind of awkward to control. You have the 8 legs, and I'm kind of wondering how feasible it is. They have the swords fighting each other. I think they mentioned co-op in there, so I'm kind of wondering how co-op works in comparison to PvP. Because PvP makes sense. You want to smack your friends around as spiders, but as co-op, I'm wondering, are you fighting bigger spiders? Are they other? What eat spiders? I don't actually. I don't know off the top of my head, actually, now I think about that.
Birds eat spiders.
Are you fighting birds?
Spiders eat spiders.
Right, exactly. So it could really go either way. But yeah, this one's exciting, although it does not have the swearing. So I had to
What
go
are you
with the
talking
weird.
about? They said the heck word right up
They
there.
did say heck.
Spectralight, how about you? Spooky or weird? And any thoughts on Spiderheck?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely afraid of spiders. But I will say this game is weird for me, just because I'm looking at the spiders do like all this upside down and they're wielding lightsabers, and it just seems like so chaotic, but really fun. Like Dice has said, I wonder how the co-op's gonna work. I think it said PvE and PvP. So I'm assuming that maybe PvE could be like a horde of other spiders, or like Dice has said, a bigger spider. It's really open to the floor. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. Ecdysis, what you look like you had a thought?
Yeah, I just remember. So we talked about spiders, and I saw like a little bit. I was kind of focused on the swords, but spiders are all about the webs. Like, do we get like to make platforms? Do we get to like just swing around like Spider-Man? Like, what do we get with the webs, and are they permanent? Because spider webs are cool.
You came to the same conclusion I came, which was like, we saw them walking around. Are we going to get to see anything with the web? I don't know. We'll have to find out. And anybody can play the demo today if you go to Steam and search for Spiderheck and download the demo. But to me, for me on weird or spooky, I'm going to actually go with spooky on this one, but in like the spooky, scary skeleton, like meme GIFs and stuff. So that's that vibe, which is, I guess, more weird.
It counts.
It counts though, right? Yeah, it counts.
It's still spooky.
But like, kind of like you were saying, Spectral, like it just looks like a great turn your brain off and have some fun with your friends, just kind of game. And that's sometimes you need that, especially in the last couple of years, I feel like.
I hear that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Never Jam is bringing that one to us at a date yet to be announced. But you can go download the demo today and add it to your wish list on Steam. But let's go ahead and move on to our next spooky game here. And this time, I think we're getting into some proper spooky. We got a gameplay demo of Inscryption. Who was actually lucky enough to bring us this demo today? Which one of you two?
That was me, actually. So I got to play Inscryption. I actually played through the demo twice. And I am happy to report that this, well, for me, is a great thing because it's a roguelike. No playthrough is the same. And it's kind of wraps in this deck building, card-based roguelike odyssey. So there's a story behind all of this. And as you can see here, there's 4 lanes for you guys to play cards. And it's just like a really creepy, dark vibe. There's this figure talking to you. And this is more of like a tutorial. He's explaining how the card game works. And I thought that what was really interesting is that the life point system in this game is not set. It's relative to your opponent, which is the scale part. So what do you guys think so far?
It's so creepy. Like, I'm listening to the audio right now, and when your enemy is talking, there's just that low bass sound, and it's creepy. Mm-hmm. This is definitely like I already can say with certainty I will rate this as spooky and not weird.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a game like this that looks kind of like this before, which and maybe I don't know if you do or not, but the presentation to me is utterly unique. Like they kind of constantly trap you in that feeling of dread you get in something like a Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever, where the spooky thing is out in the darkness, but in those games, you eventually get your jump scare and then it kind of resets you and you start moving again, and that dread hasn't built up. This one doesn't seem like that necessarily happens. So you just kind of have that constant feeling of like, what is waiting there that I can see just out of the fringes of my vision. Ek, what are your thoughts on it?
Love the animal aesthetics. I love the design of the map. I like the roguelike parts. And as a game that this would be similar to, actually, Resident Evil 7 had a DLC that was blackjack, had these giant cards. You could mess with your opponent. It was like the scales were tipping. You had to get the 21 or something. And the whole thing was you weren't sure what fate awaited you, kind of. Although I guess you kind of knew with the giant saw blade. But this, I love everything about it. I kind of saw a few playthroughs of this, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Yeah,
I was just going to ask you about the card game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on. So there's 4 lanes, and you can put creatures on them, and sometimes on the map when you move, there's like little prompts saying, oh, you ran into like an obstructed path, and that's why there's boulders and stumps that could inhibit or help you in your gameplay against this mysterious figure. And all the cards that you play, they're themed after animals, and here there's this feature where you can fuse cards together.
Oh,
so
wow.
What I find really charming is that there are a couple of cards in this game that talk to you as the player. So it breaks that fourth wall. And so I find really charming. Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, it's really cool. And as you can see there, the cat was sacrificed. And you don't have the cat any longer in your deck, but that card was fused with the ability of the cat. So
yeah, I think
cool.
A card game where you meld cards together, and also, as we're going to see in a little bit, create completely new ones from scratch. I think that's a really neat concept. It's like somebody saw like a twin-headed Thunder Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories and thought, I could top that. I'm going to make a better card game, which, yeah, they probably did. It looks like they did by far.
Also, to add really quick, because right now we're on the prospector here, we have like the red map, you had the orange one originally, and now it's green. I love how the aesthetic kind of changes where you might be. I think it's just kind of really fitting for the board, because you go from memories, you mentioned that you had like the Yami, you had the Umi, you had the water, you had the mountain, and in this, it's really just kind of cool to see the environment change around you.
Mm-hmm. And then the mask too, like the fact that the character you're playing against this whole time, which seems to be the same person or the same creature, we don't know, does put on that mask, and it's in almost like a weird goofy tone, but then when it pulls back and the more you look at it, it seems to just get like creepier and creepier. Like it starts off as just like kind of funny, and then it's like, this is actually really unsettling.
Exactly.
Which it seems to be the vibe they're going for sure.
It definitely creeps, and that's good.
Spectralite, I have a question. So you're able to draw regular cards which have animals, but there's also a separate deck that just gives you squirrels. What is the point of drawing a squirrel?
Yeah, so the squirrel in this game acts kind of like mana. So you use the squirrel as like a sacrifice to summon more creatures. So you have your main deck where that's the deck building portion, and then you have a set amount of squirrels you use to sacrifice and then summon those creatures. And as you can see in the previous segment, there were 3 items that you got, additional cards and like pliers. There's different tools in this game that could help you in your card game. So the pliers actually, when you use it, it'll take out a tooth from your character and put it on the scale and help you out in like winning the game. So yeah, it can get really, really creepy in your face with that. So
and we just saw there the creation of like a brand new card that has your name on it right there. Like
that's me.
Yeah. What is up? Like how did that system kind of work? Or has anybody seen that before? I feel like I haven't. Like that is really cool.
Yeah, I actually saw it on my second playthrough. So in my first playthrough, I didn't die at all. But in my second playthrough, I lost. So when I died, the person was like, hey, make a new card. And then you get to kind of meld together all these cards from your deck and then name it as something of your own. And I just put my name because I'm the one who died. So
oh my God, what is happening?
We're all just intrigued now. Everybody's just going to like sit still silently watching the trailer. I think that's all we get. That's our last glimpse at Inscryption. Ek, what's going on?
Spectralite, question. So you said you played it twice. On the second playthrough, did you actually like have your card die? Because I saw it have like the health states, and like it looks like it's like any other card. Like I'm really wondering what happens if you,
I don't think. Well, it plays like a regular card after that point. But you do the actual card creation when you lose as the player. And I'm assuming that when you keep dying, you get to make more cards like that. So that's a really cool feature. Yeah, there's a bunch of other features that are not shown in this reel, and it has a lot of replay value. So I had a really good time with this game.
Yeah, seems really cool.
It looks amazing. I'm really interested in like the escape room aspect. It said in the description on the Steam store, it said that there's an escape room aspect in here with psychological horror. Obviously, you know, you've described pulling out your own tooth and using it on the scale. That's pretty horrifying. But how does escape room play into this? I'm really intrigued.
Yes. So the shadowy figure actually talks to you as the player, and he says, "Hey, you don't have to keep sitting here." And you're like, "What?" I'm sitting at a table, so you can get up, and like you're in a cabin, and there's like all these other elements. Like there's a safe, there's a cabinet that needs a combination, there's locked items, and that's the escape room portion of this game. So there's like a bigger objective. You have to escape this cabin, and the way you do that is by finding clues through your journey by playing the card game with this person or this figure or animal or whatever this person is, thing
Being.
Yeah.
Being, entity, thank you.
Entity.
Wow, that's really cool. I was not expecting that to come up as a part of it. I don't want to even know anything more about this because I want the rest.
I want to play this one.
Definitely play it multiple times. That's all I'm going to say. So.
Yeah. Well, this inscription comes to us from publisher Devolver Digital, who always puts out some fantastic games, and developer Daniel Mullins Games, and it comes out October 19th of this year, so just a couple weeks away. Ooh. If you want to play the demo, so you're all prepped when the game comes out, you can go to the Steam client and download the demo today for free. And of course, you can add it to your wish list so that way you'll be notified when the game releases. Let's go ahead and move on to our final trailer here in the spooky/weird genre, where we can get back to our game show called Conscript.
Ils sont dans notre tranchée! Soyez prêts! Ah!
Like the shopkeeper in Conscript said, what are you buying? Well, it could be you buying Conscript in 2022 when it comes out. But if you would like to try the demo for that, the demo is available right now. So you can navigate to the Steam client, go to the Next Fest page, or go straight to the Conscript page, download the demo, try it out, and see if you can survive the classic survival horror set in 1916. I don't know, man. I feel like we could play the game show, but I really kind of feel like it's a little more spooky than weird. But let's start with Ecdysis. What are your thoughts? Spooky or weird?
Definitely spooky with this one. Like the whole vibe put down feels like kind of like a top down or like maybe even like a Hotline Miami-esque Resident Evil thing. Like we saw the merchant who's selling you ammo. I see, what are you buying? The RE4, you know him. And it just feels like that old school survival horror, which is great. And I kind of like the idea that you have a lot of that going on. It's also just got really neat atmosphere. It's really closed in because the horrors of trench warfare, the history of, I guess, World War I and all that. And it's just really, what's the word I'm looking for? Claustrophobic. It just... You're in there with the enemies, you're in there with soldiers, you're in there with what appears to be like zombies or monsters. And I really like this one. I feel like I've actually heard about it before this, though, and I can't put my finger on where I heard it, but I'm excited for this one.
Nice. So that is one vote for spooky. Spectralite, what are your thoughts?
My vote is also spooky. Everything that Ecdysis said, I definitely got the classic survival horror vibes. The inventory management, the limited ammo, the limited resources. It just makes you feel like you're really on the edge of just like completely getting laid out by the enemies. And I do wonder who those enemies are, why they're after this one person. Is this person an intruder into the warfare, or if they're just like not where they're supposed to be? Like, I wonder who this character is, what their objective is, and we'll see, I guess, if we want to play the trailer and demo. I mean, sorry.
Hobbs, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going spooky, 100% on this one. It was super. It was atmospheric, is what I would put it, and I think claustrophobic is a good way of describing that as well, like Ecdysis said, because it definitely, when the armored enemies were kind of cornering the lone French soldier there that is our protagonist, that was just like, oh man, how in the world do you get out of that corner? Like, how are you getting out of that situation? And I like how in the trailer, they never showed you how you get out of that situation. I feel like every time that they had like the armor-clad enemies walk up, you never saw how it was really resolved. You saw things going poorly. And I think that was an intentional decision. They wanted that to be a surprise for the player to figure out how they were going to deal with that.
Sure.
And yeah, just navigating all those the twisted trenches, not knowing what's going to be around the next corner, and just fighting for your survival. I think that is definitely makes it have this heavy, spooky vibe to it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely getting those Resident Evil vibes. Like, I see the inventory management, and then you can see that you can upgrade your weapons as well. There's, it's just, it gives me the creeps, man. Like, you're just walking around, just trying to mind your own business, just trying to live, and then people show up and say, no, you're not allowed to. And then you have to figure it out. I don't know. I'm definitely spooky for me, but excited to try this one. I just feel like, as someone that enjoys RE games, this is just one of those games that I'll really like.
Absolutely. Also, kind of going on with what J-Hobbs said, the whole idea that you don't really know what's going to happen when the enemies get you, it actually kind of makes you wonder, because, normally, you die in a horror game, you die in any game, flap, you're dead. It's just death. But some games, I know, especially let's go, I think some Resident Evil games might do this. I definitely know Dead Rising does this. If you die to certain enemies, you actually get kidnapped, and they'll take you somewhere else. And even that this is trench warfare, and you might be in close quarters, if they're not really using, guns against you, certain enemies might try to use something else, I'm thinking. And it's going to be really neat. Maybe that's a way to break free or something.
We did occasionally see a player character in different clothes, I think, in that trailer. So that, who knows? Yeah, death may not be the end. It may be just like, this new challenge to overcome. That's a good point. I'm really There's a lot of intrigue with this one. It's definitely got to play this one to learn more about it for sure. Spectralight, do you have any last thoughts on Conscript and its atmosphere of the 1916 Battle of Verdun? I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly.
Yeah, going off of what you guys said, definitely atmospheric. It made me feel like I was constantly under pressure and very claustrophobic. And going off of what you said, J-Hobbs, with the outfit change, I wonder if that character needed to like sneak out after getting captured. Like what Igdices said, there's like different missions you have to do to infiltrate the enemy or whatever the objective is for our protagonist. I'm really curious about that, but really excited, really intrigued by this.
Yeah. This is going to be one. I think that we're all and we're all just going to like check out the demo for and to learn more than just what you see from these trailers. But can I point out just a very small little detail, just as a fun little thing that we got a post-credit scene in a trailer. I don't know how often you get a post-credit scene in a trailer. Sometimes you gotta love 2021 because we get just heck yeah, man. You get a post-credit scene in a trailer. I think that's really funny. They like to hide the little Easter egg reference as well in that scene, which is just perfect. It's so great.
What are you buying?
Love it.
Big fan of Spooky, but unfortunately, I think that was our last Spooky game, and that makes me sad because that also means that we have to say goodbye to both of you, Spectralight and Igdices. Thank you so much for coming to our stream and for talking about some horror games. And Spectralight, thank you for explaining to us Inscryption, because that game had so many things to explain, and you managed to answer all of our barrage of questions while also commentating on the video. Thank you so much for all of your contribution to this Next Fest. And if you have anything that you want to say to your fans, your viewers, and tell us where we can find you after the stream is over, Spectralight. How about you start?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on the show. It was a pleasure being on here. To my community, thank you guys so much for all your support. And if you guys don't know me yet, hi, I'm Spectralight. You can find me on twitch.tv/Spectralight. I'm also Spectralight on YouTube, _Spectralight on Instagram and Twitter. And if you come by the channel, you see a lot of survival horror speedruns, mainly Resident Evil. But I do plan on branching out to other games like Fatal Frame and Silent Hill and those of the like. So yeah, come by for spooky season, and thanks for having me again.
Igdices, where people find you?
On my end, for one, I was going to say thank you for having both of us. It truly is an honor just being able to talk about spooky games here. So thank you for that. And then for me, you can find me on twitch.tv/Igdices. My name is, I guess, hard to pronounce, but pretty easy to spell. It should be somewhere around here somewhere. I never know what the highlight has, but somewhere there. I'm on there. I'm on YouTube. Twitter, it's Igdices_Twitch. And pretty much all that, like Instagram, anything really Igdices. And my end is I just speedrun every single horror game I can imagine. I have, I think, over 110 at this point. I try to add a bunch, and I just like playing the games I really like, which are mostly horror. And when these games come out, I probably want to look at these too. I really like the, Conscript and Inscryption. Those two are definitely like jumped out at me, so I'm excited for those.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
you play Dead by Daylight with me, and now I can be like, hey, let's play some Spiderheck.
I'm down. I'm down. I'm down to join for that.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you again for having us.
All right.
Ew.
Well, we'll say goodbye to you. And Sumi, unfortunately, that means it's also time to close the stream out, to end things today. But thankfully, Steam Next Fest is just getting started. That's right. Everybody can tune into the Steam client all week long. Please check out all the various games that are within. If you just click the Next Fest banner, you can see all the games involved here. Lots of fantastic indie games. Every single one of them will have a demo for you to download for free to try the game. And you can always see on the Steam page when the game releases, whether maybe it's in early access already, as we saw from some of the games. And of course, you can add to your wish list there to be notified when it comes out as well. And also, hey, you get notified when games go on sale when that happens too. So
that is true. I use that function a lot, actually. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll wait until it goes on sale. But you know, some of these games just can't wait that long.
No.
You know, you just have to play them on launch, and there's a lot of those added to this wish list now that this stream is over. There's just so many. There's just too many of them. But yes, I think that that basically ends it for us. But for all of you, the festival is just getting started. Have fun until October 7th. Once again, I am Sumichu. You can find me pretty much everywhere as Sumichu, Sumichu. And J-Hobbs, tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, I do speedruns of a bunch of different games myself, and I run a few different like speedrun adjacent shows as well. You can check out Games Done Quick because I'm on there every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern with my buddy Kizaron doing the first step. But otherwise, just Google JHOBZ, and I found out I'm like the top 3 results there are like my Twitch, my Twitter, and YouTube and all that. So it's
SEO master.
It's way easier to do that than for me to tell you all the numbers and the underscores of all the various things. So just do that. You could find me. Lately, I've been speedrunning a lot of Kingdom Hearts, so more in the RPG and action genres that we were talking about today. But also just I love playing video games and trying to go fast in a bunch of them. So a lot of different games.
I'm a fan of J-Hobbs' stream. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today here on Next Fest. Remember, once again, I will say this for the 100th time today, you have until October 7th to get those game demos played. Enjoy Wishlist. Have fun. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a good day.
Welcome to the October edition of Steam Next Fest, where you can check out a new batch of demos from hundreds of upcoming games on Steam. Test them out for free and check out other features of the fest, like the official live stream,
Time to put on the gamer pants. Let's go.
developer chats,
Oh my god.
and more. Explore the latest from veteran devs and first-timers alike. This is Steam Next Fest.